Okay, the objectives of RSI are to give an introduction and also introduce the formula, which helps show trends. Don't worry about the maths, they're not that bad. Okay, moving on. It's actually beautiful in its simplicity and yet it's very effective. An RSI is the average of the closes on the up days and divided by an average of the closes on the down days. An industry standard is to use 14 days or 14 samples of data. Another is to use 28. So I first learnt this technique by reading a book by Wilder. It's well worth reading. RSI is short for Relative Strength Index. His book defines 7 steps. I know it sounds a little bit long-winded and it was conceived in the 1970s, but it's definitely very valid. Okay, add up all of the down prices for the period. In this example, I'll always use 14 days and then divide by 14. Add up all of the up prices for the 14-day period and divide by 14. Divide the up prices average by the down prices average. This is known as the RS. Now, for reasons I don't know, because I'm not a mathematician, add 1 to the RS. Divide 100 by the result of the previous step. And yeah, well, you can see the slide. Okay, and repeat for each of the repeat the previous steps for each day, adding the day's data. Now this is a rolling concept, a lot like a moving average, which I've covered in other clips. So as day 15 comes in, day 15 slots on the end, day 1 drops off the beginning, thus keeping it the most recent 14 days, whatever sample period that you decide you want to achieve. Okay, I'll try to keep away from the maths, but eventually we get there. We calculate the RS, which I covered in the previous clips. We add 1, we then take 100 and we divide it by that number of what we calculated as RS plus 1. We then take 100 and we subtract it from that. Okay, it's not that bad. It's really not that bad in terms of maths. Okay, here is some sample data. I'll let you ponder on that and give you time to write it down. You can see that I've highlighted which days count as up and which count as down. So that should help as we go on to the following slides where I do a worked example. Okay, now this one looks a little bit ominous, but it's actually the numbers taken from the previous slides. And if you look at the previous slides, you'll see the ones I've marked as ups, and all I've done is added them all together and divided by 14. It's that simple. And the same for the downs. We've done that. Now we have our average for ups and downs. We apply the equation, which is actually quite simple. 60.9 divided by 25.1. So that's our ups divided by our downs. That's it, that's the RS. Then we apply the equation, so we add 1 to it. So 2.46 plus 1. There we go. It's that simple. Then we do the simple divisions and subtractions. And this gives, for this example, an RSI of 70.8. What are the benefits of an RSI over a rate of change, or ROC? Well, it's a lot less volatile. It takes advantages of both all of the ups and all of the downs in that period. And also all of the values are between 0 and 100. It doesn't matter what the values of the ups and the downs are. So you can kind of think of it as a percentage. ROC and RSI do not change independently. They are intrinsically linked and they move together and should be thought of and used together. In our example, it showed above 50, which means that the trend is looking definitely up. We had, I believe, about 70. Perry Kaufman, I think that's how you say that, he questioned 14-day periods. He thought they were a little bit too short. And he points out that the maximum divergence occurs when the moving average, I covered moving average in many other clips, is about half the time span of the dominant cycle of the rate of change. Well, he was highly respected. You form your own opinion. If you accept this principle, it would lead to a dominant trend being over a 4-year cycle, which is a heck of a lot of data to process. And a moving average, over a 24-month cycle, it does give a very stable trend, but do you really have that time in which you want to trade? It comes back to one of my previous clips of what type of trader do you want to be. Okay, often 14 and 28 days are probably the most commonly used in certainly the circles that I've mixed in. But you got tops and bottoms. That's when the value moves above 70 or 30 below. It indicates overbought, oversold, which I've also done a separate clip on overbought, oversold, and also on momentum. The momentum often moves ahead of the price. That's quite key. And again, I've done another clip. I had to do that in a different clip. Remember, the longer the time span in the RSI calculation, the more stable the results will be. If you use a 5-day period, then consider an 80-20 rule. Compare different time spans. When peaks and troughs occur simultaneously, take note. Always remember deviation. Again, that's covered in another clip. Wilder explains, RSI is the head and shoulders, tops and bottoms, which show an up on an index and also shows a down on an index. There is such a thing as a failure swing. This is where an RSI has moved through an overbought or oversold situation. It also occurs a failure when the next rally fails to suppress its previous rally. If a second rally pushes the index below its previous low, that's also a failure. This can take the form of one big movement or many small ones. Okay, the key to determining a failure is when the next rally fails to surpass its previous and the reaction pushes the RSI below its previous low. Okay, remember overtraded. Either overbought, oversold. Do not give reliable indices. Colby and Myers tested this over a long period of time on the Dow Jones. It's important to understand the way and the information the indicator is showing. Okay, to analyse the markets are both science and art, mixed with a good dose of experience and skill. Colby and Myers spent many decades trying to resolve this conundrum and never did. Always be vigilant about overtrading and divergence. See my other clips for introductions into this. Use as many methods as you can to analyse your data. The RSI level should be between 0 and 100. The swing and size vary a lot. If they go outside of 100, you might have made a mistake. Use values which are well respected between 9, 14 and 28 periods, and combine with a moving average covered in other clips. Finally, investing is a lot of fun. Never risk more than you can afford to lose, and if you have any questions, contact me on PMF MRK ANA at protectmyfriend.co.uk. I look forward to hearing from you.